In this video, I'm just going to talk about the lab that we did. So I attended this training, and this is one of the labs that we did during the training. So this is the topology that we used. Um, yeah, so this is the topology, and this is the lab is called Basic ISP Failover Test plus Policy-Based Routing. And of course, it's using a FortiGate as the gateway for all the devices on the LAN. So let me just to explain here what the configurations. I mean, I don't really have to explain the configurations on the backbone and ISP routers. I'm gonna, because you can just check this here. Pretty pretty simple. It's we're just using static routes on all the routers. So this is of course, simulation. That backbone router is somewhere on the internet, and of course, ISP1 and ISP2 are just pointing, just have a default route pointing to that backbone router here. This is the IP address 192.168.10.1 here. And of course, we're gonna focus on configuring. We're gonna focus on configuring the FortiGate firewall. So in this case, via HTTP. So this is what we actually did. Of course, we added the firewall itself, the image in GNS3, and once that's done, we just you know uh, use a cloud. It says here as well. Connect a cloud using ETH2 to port 9. Well, you can connect it to any port on FortiGate firewall, but you need to make sure that you have a adapter that has this settings here. I took a screenshot of these settings for reference. And you have to, once everything is connected, of course, you have to have a console, or you have to console into the firewall using username admin. You don't have to enter any password, and this is by default, by the way. And yeah, this is where you can, I mean, you have to assign a management IP to that firewall before you can actually access it via using your browser. So in this case, I'm using this is Chrome, of course. So yeah, this is the config here. And of course, this may this may uh, this may change. I mean, this depends on your uh, local IP subnet, right? In my case, this is the IP address that is not being used in my local network. Of course, you can verify that by just pinging it before assigning it to the firewall in this case. So this is a I mean this is a very good way to basically uh, access a firewall from your a firewall in DNS3 and access it from your local computer. So that's what we are doing here. Okay, once that's done, yeah, you can just open the type this IP address. This is what I did here. Type it into your browser, and you can use username password. I mean username admin, no password required. And from there you can then start configuring things like these are, by the way, the prerequisites when you are configuring a firewall. Actually says internet access firewall. So this is what we did actually, and I can just show you the config here. These are the WAN ports. So I have, in my case, I have two WAN ports, port 1 and port 2, and I only have one. Well, I have three, by the way. I have three, no, no, not three. I have two LAN ports here. This is one, and this is, it's not here. Let me add it. So port 3 is, you can see here that it is a physical port or physical interface, and VLAN interface, this is what you call SVI on if you are using Cisco devices. And of course, this is for the management port. Yeah, so yeah, you can also see the management port here. This is what we configured via console. Of course, you can see it via GUI as well. Every all interfaces you can see via GUI. All right, so let me just open this one here. You can actually double click it. Don't have to just every time you click one and just click edit here, edit the edit button, you can just go ahead and double click one. And of course, this is manual IP address. You can always, this is the alias and this is the role. You have LAN, WAN, DMZ, undefined roles. Of course, we're choosing WAN. And of course, this is a LAN port, a physical LAN port. Of course, it's manual as well. And this is where you uh, configure your DHCP service or server. So in this case, these are the scopes or range of IP addresses that we can assign to hosts on the LAN side. All right, so that's one of the prerequisites that you have to configure. And next is IP routing. You also have to configure your IP routing, of course. And in our case, we are using static routes. So this is just pointing to, so gateway, let me just show you the config. Gateway is ISP1. Of course, this is port 1. It's pointing to ISP1 here. And cancel. Port 2 is pointing to ISP2. You can see that here. Okay, that's the IP routing. And of course, you have to also configure configure IPv4 policy. And you can see here that there is at the very bottom, you can see that there is a implicit deny statement or policy. So you have to configure your LAN to WAN. So this is LAN to WAN, and this is LAN to WAN. So this is incoming port. So incoming port is port 3, which is the physical port, and this is outgoing WAN port 1. So this here, this flow, and to ISP1. And of course, there's also another one for WAN 2. So this is LAN. So these are all the LAN subnets. Let me show you the WAN side. The VLAN config, which is this one. It's all as well. Source is, all is selected as source. So we're just allowing all subnets from the LAN side. And yeah, you have to also do that for all your subnets or connections. And of course, you can also configure the NAT policy here. So again, incoming interface, outgoing interface, source, destination, schedule always, service all services, action accept. And NAT, these are the things that you can configure. So this part here and NAT, and of course this one, because you have to. So in this case, we are using the outgoing interface IP address to get to um, this IP address. So from the LAN side, let's say this here, the PC1 needs to get to this PC, I mean this IP address. It's going to use the IP address 10.10.10.2 to get to this IP address or subnet. Okay, and next is, yeah, these are all, yeah, that was it. These are the prerequisites every time you configure a internet access firewall. And of course, like I said earlier, these are there is an implicit deny rule, and this applies to all firewalls. So the difference between regular routers and firewall is that if you have a regular router, you allow all access, but if you have a firewall, you deny all access. So that's why we have to configure your IPv4 policy, at least in our case here, because there is a implicit deny, like I said, policy at the very bottom. Okay, and of course this is the command that you can use to verify your routing. I mean, to check your routing table on your firewall here. So this means that you have you have two paths, this path and this path. So this is ISP1 and this is ISP2. Okay, and of course we are going to do a failover test a little later. And there is another command that you can you can use to verify your NAT translation table. I'm not gonna go into detail uh, with this one, but you can see the the translation here. All right, so of course you can also do a backup of your firewall by going to this part here. Let me just show it to you real quick. So you don't have to, let's say here, yeah, you can. Doesn't matter where you are exactly. You can click admin on the left side and system. No, not system. Configuration, backup, and then you can download it to your local PC, and then you can upload it. So that's what I did here. So I have a the firewall, backup config of the firewall here, and it's a long configuration. All right. So next, this is how you can. Of course, we have configured our firewall. Um, we have to also configure our L2 switch. This is just a L2 switch. And one thing to note here is that configure. One thing to note here is that E0 you have to make it a trunk port here. Type .1Q, that means that's a trunk. And of course, E1 is or port 1 is access and it belongs to VLAN 1, and port 2 is an access port and it belongs to VLAN 10. Yeah, you can also, so this is the corresponding layer 3 interface, so VLAN 1 and VLAN 10. Okay, next. Yeah, like I said, this is how you can um, get your VPCs, get assign a DHCP IP address, and this is the command that you can use. So this is one of the things that I learned during the training. So you just have to type that command DHCP, and you should be able to get an IP address here. Of course, the gateway is the firewall. The gateway is the firewall. So so this is basically our layer 3 device here, just like a regular router. So we have a physical port and a virtual port configured on the firewall. Okay, so this is the commands that we use to perform an ISP uh, failover test. So this is what we did. I mean, this is already configured, by the way, on the firewall, so I don't have to copy and paste it. But this is similar to IPSLA with Cisco devices. Not sure if IPSLA only applies to Cisco devices though. But yeah, um, these are the commands that we copy and pasted into the firewall. Of course, server is your, in our case, this IP address. In real world, this could be like, the Google DNS, a Google DNS like 8.8.8.8, and gateway is here, ISP1, and this is of course for WAN port, WAN 1, and this is WAN 2. So this is ISP2. All right, so I'm going to trace route to this IP address. So we have an IP address from PC2 and from PC1. So this PC1 belongs to VLAN 1 and PC2 belongs to VLAN 10. We can see that from the IP address right here. VLAN 1, this is subnet 172.16.1. VLAN 10, 172.16.10. Okay, so let me go ahead and trace route to IP address. Let's copy and paste it. So PC1 is using ISP1 to get to this IP address. This is ISP1. And PC2 is using ISP2. This is because I have the policy that is configured on the firewall, by the way. But I'm not gonna. Let's disregard PC2 for now. Uh, let's just focus on PC1. So I'm going to shut down the interface. So LAN port on ISP1. Let me say ISP1. ISP1 going to shut down fast Ethernet 1.0 fast Ethernet 1/0 shut down. And now from PC1 we should use ISP2. Looks like it did not work. Oh, unreachable. One of the things that I didn't verify, or we didn't verify, is these configs or commands. Let me actually do it again. Let me copy and paste it. again into the firewall. Let me, it's not working. Mhm. Okay, hold on. Let me verify the config here. Extend session. So what can we verify here? Or what can we check on the firewall? So we have LAN and WAN ports, IP routing. Let's verify our IPv4 policy. So I see traffic here. Now let's verify our routing. So 5. Okay, this is ISP1 20. So hold on, something is wrong here. Yeah, we shut down the correct interface. So our failover should work. Oh, there you go. It's not working. It's not working. It took a while to uh, for firewall to fail over the traffic from ISP1 to ISP2, but now it's working. But before, when we checked here, ISP1 was using ISP1, right? I mean ISP1. PC1 was using ISP1. So we shut down this port on ISP1, the LAN, I mean the port facing LAN or facing firewall, and now we are using ISP2. So that's the failover test that we did. Um, of course, forgot to mention that this here is basically pinging so basically firewall is pinging this interface, I mean this IP address, and if it sees that it cannot it cannot ping using this gateway or IP address or gateway IP, then it will use the other gateway or this link. That's basically I think that's what's happening. Okay, so aside from the failover test that we did, like I said, like it says here, we also did a policy-based routing. So this is where we created this another VLAN or SVI, VLAN 10, and we configured PC1 to belong to VLAN 10. And of course, like we saw here, we have to configure a SVI on the firewall, and you have to configure a policy for that subnet or connection. So this is VLAN 10. This is the policy for WAN 1 or ISP1, and this is for ISP2. And this is, let me see, where can I find it? Policy, here, policy routes. This is where we configure the policy route. So this is basically saying, so protocol is, this is like a route map. It says here that if incoming traffic matches, so protocol any, and incoming interface, this one, SVI VLAN 10. And of course, source is this subnet source, and destination is any destination, so anything. basically. And this is, of course, the gateway. So action, forward traffic, yeah, destination IP address, yeah, okay. Then action, forward traffic, outgoing, this we are choosing WAN 2 or port 2, and gateway is this one, which is ISP 2. So that's why ISP2 is using ISP, not ISP2, PC2 is using ISP2. I'm gonna show you something also because when ISP2, like let's say ISP2 goes down, um, PC1 should still use, should fail over to ISP1. So I'm going to unshut the port on ISP1. Nope, no shut. Let's check on PC1. It's gonna take a while. Let's check the, let's check our routing again. Okay, priority 5, admin distance is 10. Let me just duplicate this so I can compare both both static routes. So this is for 1, 2. It says here that advanced setting used by the FortiGate kernel routes with a larger value would have a lower priority. Okay. Okay, so this is being overridden by the policy that we created because ISP1 has a lower priority, which is 5, and ISP2 has a higher priority, uh, or this connection has a high priority, which is 20. But as we saw here, PC2 is still using that path. So our policy is working, or PBR is working. So let's check this one. Okay, now it's back to PC1 is now using ISP1, which is the expected behavior. So I'm going to, like I said earlier, I'm going to shut down this port here on ISP2. How was that again? See if PC1 will fail over to ISP1. PC2 will fail over to, I mean, traffic from PC2 will fail over from ISP2 to ISP1. Fast Ethernet 1.0. Shut down. Just give it a minute. And we can check also from the router, I mean from the firewall itself, using the command that we used earlier. Not really. We can check. Well, let's see what will happen here. Still learning but it should not be able to ping this IP address. Uh, execute. I think the command is execute ping, if I'm not mistaken. How about we ping it from PC2? It's not pingable anymore. So let's see if PC2 should use PC1 now. I mean ISP1. I think it's gonna take a while, like what happened earlier. So PC1 should work, right? Yeah. Let's give it some time. While that's happening, let me just review if I missed anything here. So yeah, this is again the steps that we did. So connect another VPCS, VPCS, yeah, or virtual PC and put it in VLAN 10. Okay, that's already done. And create the layers report on the firewall for VLAN 10. Create an IPv4 policy for both WAN interconnections. Okay, for VLAN 10, I should say. And create a PBR, which is what we saw here. This one. And then trace to from PC2, trace to that IP address to verify the packet staking. It should be not ISP2, should be ISP1. Oh well, yeah, this is correct. This is the expected behavior. But what we are doing now is just trying to see if PC2 will take, will go via ISP1 because this is now down this interface. Looks like it's still not working. Let me check the static routes. No, not the static route. This should work. There we go. I think it's gonna work now. Because what we are doing here is ping that IP address from PC1, PC2. Let me see, firewall. So it's connected, okay, directly connected. And it's using this. Let me try that command again. It's still here, but this is down, right? So it should use this one. But that's not actually happening. Let me review the policy, the IPv4 policy, and see if we can notice anything here. This is for LAN. Okay, that should be correct, right? Extend. Okay, looks correct. So WAN 1. Check this one. Okay, looks correct. How about for this one? So VLAN 10, WAN port, WAN 1 port. Okay, looks correct. All. This looks correct. Let's see. Yeah, not enabled. Not enabled. How come it's not working? Show. This is the gateway. Let's check here. How about this here? How about the DHCP configuration? This looks good. Gateway, CMS interface. So this is 26. This is 26. So our policy is still working even though, I mean, yeah, even though the interface is down. So this is not what happened during the training. So as far as I remember, yeah, this is not what happened. But I think it kind of makes sense because that policy is configured here on the firewall, right? So I wonder how is it going to like kind of erase or remove that policy when this port here goes down, right? Yeah, that's not what's happening here. I'm going to no shut that port. At least we now know that it's not happening. Because it should, like I said earlier, PC2 should use, at least this is what happened during the training, should use ISP1. Okay, now let's now check. Yeah, it's now using ISP2. And yeah, this is the correct behavior now. All right, so I need to check if this is something that that I can check later, but I think it kind of makes sense that the policy will not be removed even if the port here on ISP2 is down, because the policy here is still, there's no way that this will be changed, right? Anyway, I think yeah, I'll just check this later. But we have we have done the failover test and the policy-based routing. So I just wanted to talk about it on this video. All right, so thanks for watching. Bye.